What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. So what do you do for a franchise that's been falling on its face for 2+ decades? You try to tap into a local, well-respected legend to fix things, and that's exactly what a New York columnist suggested for the New York Jets and this new president of football operations position that many people are, banging the table for the New York Jets to finally figure out a successful rebuild. Now, I did want to look into this because I kept seeing this title get thrown around, president of football operations. While it sounds self-explanatory, I wasn't fully sure what that entailed, right? The short of it is that they operate or they specialize in the day-to-day operations of football. And then, of course, they are the end-all, be-all, the full authoritative power when it comes to coaching hires, front office hires, of course, and then I'm forgetting a big one, free agency decisions, etc. Right? Pretty much the entire gambit. This does change a little bit from franchise to franchise. It really just depends on what the owner wants to do. And the two standout variances there, right, are the Dallas Cowboys with Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft and former head coach Bill Belichick when he was there, just to let you know how some things change up, right? Jerry Jones being the GM, sometimes head coach, and then president of football operations, and Robert Kraft was effectively the president of football operations, while Bill Belichick was kind of a head coach GM combination. But nonetheless, knowing that, this really got me thinking about what this could mean for us, right? Having a guy like Curtis Martin, former Hall of Famer, All-Pro, obviously running back extraordinaire for the New York Jets. This would be huge just from the standpoint of seeing what was pointed out. So let's dive into what Gary Myers, the columnist, actually wrote when he suggested Curtis Martin getting into this role, and then we'll break it down from there. He mentions, my plan to fix the Jets, hire Curtis Martin as president of football operations. He's preparing to get into NFL ownership for years, and he loves the Jets. So the Johnsons should sell him a small piece of the team if that would get the deal done. Martin is very well respected in NFL circles and will be the perfect face of the franchise. He is best friends with Bill Parcells, and it's never a bad idea to run ideas past Parcells. Martin would be in charge of hiring a new GM. Joe Douglas is at 6 years and the team is going backwards. Martin has 1 million NFL contacts and is part of Roger Goodell's inner circle. Then the new GM, in consultation with Martin, would hire a coach. The GM and coach would figure out which quarterback to draft or veteran free agent to bring in. If Woody Johnson had headed abroad again as an ambassador to the UK or elsewhere as part of Donald Trump's administration, it's the perfect time to bring in a new approach. Jets fans are tired of starting over, but this team needs a complete overhaul. Respected football man at the top of the organizational chart, veteran decision maker at GM, sharp head coach, quarterback who can eventually win a Super Bowl. Won't happen overnight for the Jets, but it's been 56 years without a Super Bowl, so what's a few more? By the way, I have not asked Martin if he would be interested, but he would be my first phone call. And then he asked for thoughts. And there's a couple of things that stood out for me here along what he mentioned, right? One of the first things being sell him a small piece. Why would that be necessary, right? I don't know if president of football operations means that you have to hold some kind of stake within the company. I would assume not, right? I look at the Raiders and them hiring the first black female president of football operations for themselves. I don't recall her having any kind of ownership stake, but I did do a little bit of digging, and it turns out that Curtis Martin, along with a group of others, Blackstone and some other names that I saw, which is based out of Dallas, they're actually looking to buy a minority stake with the Buffalo Bills. So if that doesn't come to fruition or that falls through or something, the next best thing for Curtis Martin would be to own the team that he helped, break many rushing records for and really achieve a high level of success. The second piece would be obviously having the connection with Bill Parcells, but really that whole ensemble of him having a ton of contacts, him also being part of Roger Goodell's inner circle. I know they just went and met up with the high school, I believe, in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania. I want to say it was Pittsburgh with him being a native. But I know they just went to Pittsburgh, went and chatted with a head coach and the team for an undefeated football team out there, along with, I'm sure, many of other, charitable visits, etc. And then, of course, having Bill Parcells, the enviable mind that he has, you would love to be able to pick his brain on certain things that you may be spitballing, right? Throwing throwing the salami at the wall and seeing what sticks kind of mentality. You want some of those clever, evolutionized minds to be able to bounce ideas off of. And then, of course, the final part is when you just see the vision of Curtis Martin really understanding the game of football, understanding where it can go, looking at a lot of these guys across the league that he's probably already had dealings with, and being able to sift through who's BS, who's legit, and then after that being able to take a look at that legit population and hone it down to what is a personality that matches New York, New Jersey, what is a driving vision that people are going to buy into immediately, and that I can help build this dream around and articulate this and help it come to life, as quick as possible. And then, of course, the hierarchy there just kind of figures itself out, right? The GM can literally focus on player contracts and scouting. They don't have to deal with all of this additional issues, drama, etc. that would come up. The head coach, they can really focus on evaluating talent on the field, holding guys accountable, making sure they can develop a lot of these guys. And I would imagine with Curtis Martin coming up in the day and age that he would continue or bring back this mentality of having a bit of that patience, which we've seen Robert Saleh get rewarded for time after time after time. Most of these guys being on defense, of course, but still, nonetheless, an approach that I still really favor, right? But ultimately, I don't see what the loss here would be. Now, this is far-fetched. Obviously, just spectating and throwing a name out there, but this is the first candidate for a name that I've seen. I know Connor Rogers threw another one out on the New York Stock Exchange podcast. Couldn't recall who he threw out there as a name, but ultimately, we know we need a new GM. We know we need a new head coach. Woody Johnson's expected to lead the team, and you want to get somebody that already has an established front office acumen, or a developing established front office acumen coming in. And I just really love the idea of also, from a player standpoint, seeing that long term. Curtis Martin was a player. He transitioned into a business expert, right? And obviously he's been in touch in the football world. And to see him reach, the highest levels of a franchise and then give back to that same franchise to help us elevate and achieve the success that we all expect, which is Super Bowls. You can't ask for much more, right? So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Again, I know there's been a lot of vague conversation around this and stuff, but I felt like this was definitely necessary to talk about just because we haven't had names, right? I'm going through candidate breakdowns right now for head coaches and GMs, but, you're not just going to come across some of these names for a president of football operations type position here. So, again, ultimately, Curtis Martin, would he join? Would Woody Johnson reach out? What does that look like? I really hope we get some reports about something like this being pursued later on as we get into the offseason or even heading into the regular season. I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't try to start contacting them now and getting some of those recruiting efforts done. But let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you again. Peace.